Hey everybody, it's Alex. Welcome back to Wild Woman Pantry. It is August 22nd and I just got back from a week-long vacation to the Gulf and I haven't seen my garden in over a week. I waited, we got back in last night and I waited to take you guys with me to see what is going on in the garden. So I didn't, it wasn't watered or anything because of the tropical storms that came through. There was rain almost every day, so I didn't need to ask anybody to water or anything. Oh my gosh. I can already see some ripe tomatoes. So yeah, the garden should have had plenty of rain. It's the end of August and I'm expecting a lot of weeds because I haven't been out here for over a week, so I'm expecting to see a lot of weeds. I'm expecting to see a lot of diseased plants and a lot of caterpillar damage. I'm expecting I should be able to harvest quite a bit of things that ripened while I was gone. So come on, let's take a look. Right, I can already see a ton of beans over here. Got a lot of purple beans. They're very mature. The beans inside are very fat, but I'm thinking I can still eat them. They should still be tender and good. But yeah, you can see just tons of beans hanging everywhere. I had this ladder out the other day to harvest beans because yeah, the beans have grown up into that tree, so I have to use a ladder to harvest the ones at the very top. So I'm gonna go ahead and harvest some beans. I just got a pound or two of beans from that harvest, which is really cool to come home to. These are Blauhilde beans from Baker Creek. They are beautiful purple green beans, and I'm going to be putting them in some soup tonight. Alright, now that I've harvested all the beans, we can take a look at the peppers. Wow, I've never had pepper plants this big before. That is just a big, beautiful mess of peppers and eggplants. So these are the Thai red chili peppers that I got. I saved the seed from some, I ordered some Thai food, and this little dried red chili pepper came with the meal. Saved the seeds, planted them, and now it looks like I am going to have an abundance of these Thai red chili peppers. And these are jalapenos. Let's see, there's a jalapeno. It's gonna be a while yet before any of these peppers are ready to harvest, but I've got some jalapenos in here. Oh, there's a larger one. Looking good there. In the middle of the peppers, I have some eggplants. Oh, just walked through a spider web. But these might be ready to harvest. This eggplant will be ready to harvest soon. There's another one. These are my bell peppers, and I didn't have any small peppers when I left for vacation, but they were blooming. I'll be getting some bell peppers pretty soon. But I've got banana peppers over here. Oh my gosh, they're so big. They were so small before I left. Oh, that one just fell off. It's got a little hole in it, but I'm willing to bet the rest of the pepper is probably pretty good. I'm guessing if it falls off, that means it's ripe. And it's quite a bit more yellow than this one that's on the vine here. I'm guessing it ripened early because of this insect damage. I'll go ahead and take that inside. Wow. I'm so excited to see these peppers. It's getting hot out here. I've been at the beach for a week, and it was hot at the beach, but it was also very breezy. So this, yeah, it's very, very warm right now. It looks like I have a ton of ground cherries to harvest. When they're on the ground, that's how you know they're ready. Oh my gosh. This is my first big ground cherry harvest. Oh, this is a huge one. It looks like it's split from all the rain that we got. And this one is huge. It's delicious. Hopefully I'll get enough to make some jam or something, but if not, I'm happy to snack on them. So I did get a good bit of ground cherries, but I don't know how many of these are actually good because so many of them have pest damage. So yeah, all the ones that you see under here on the ground, I think I checked most of these and they're mostly just mush inside. Yeah, they're mostly just mush inside. But that's okay. This is my first time growing ground cherries. I've still got so many that are hanging out on the plant ripening. So yeah, I'll do some research and try and figure out how to keep pests from eating up all my ground cherries before I do. And I need to harvest all this basil. It has exploded in my absence, and I'm gonna have to make some pesto later. Ginger, get out of there. They're not for you. Hey, Ginger, you want a green bean? You want a green bean, Ginger? Do you want it? You want the green bean? You can have it. Here, Ginger. All right, back into the garden. Let's check out what's going on with this corn. Okay, so this bed behind me has been claimed by pests and weeds. So it's time to plant some fall things there. But check out this corn. It was tasseling and making silk when I left. Let's see what's going on. All right. This is a pretty large ear here. The silks, I mean, it might not be mature yet. Usually the corn is mature when the silk turns brown, but this could be from rain because I really don't think this is mature yet. Oh. Well, that's disgusting. You are not allowed to be in there. No, you're not. No. Ew. Get out of town. Gross. Let's see. Oh my gosh. We have corn. Oh my gosh. That looks good. That looks amazing. And you can also see it kind of started to separate from the stalk a little bit, which usually means it's ready to go. First ear of corn. I could not be happier about this. My tomato plants look way better than I expected. So I've got some ripe cherry tomatoes. I've got some that have been eaten by caterpillars, which I expected. And they do still have that, you know, obviously they still have that disease going on, but they look great. Overall, I'd say they really look great. Oh my gosh. It's a ripe blue creamberry tomato. It's delicious. That's a beautiful Dr. Witchy's yellow that has unfortunately been eaten by this ugly little caterpillar here. But I can still save at least half of that tomato. Go ahead and evict this caterpillar guy here and try and save the rest of that tomato. So many of these have split because of the rain. These guys are the worst. Oh my gosh. That is a huge tomato. Truly huge. Oh my god. And it's partly rotten. Oh my god, look at this tomato. But yeah, it's not fully ripe. And it's rotting from the inside. So sad. That would have been a beautiful tomato. The caterpillars are just really bad this year. This guy's not quite ripe even. So this is so beautiful and colorful. Wow. Just look at all these. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna go ahead and harvest all of these. So the tomato situation is about what I expected. I was having heavy caterpillar damage before I left on my trip, and one of the things on my list was to spray all the tomato plants with BT before I left, which would have curved the problem a little bit, but I was so busy packing for my first vacation in years, it didn't get done. So I have a lot of caterpillar damage on these tomatoes, and some of them can't be saved. This is the pile of tomatoes that I am just going to be adding to the compost because they are beyond salvaging. However, this basket of tomatoes is looking okay. Some of them are untouched. This is a beautiful Dr. Witchy's yellow tomato that doesn't have any blemishes, and there are, I'd say, probably a quarter of them are untouched by pests. But some of them have some damage. Let's see. Like, this one's got a bad spot. However, I can cut the bad half of this tomato off and I can freeze the other half and use it in soups and sauces. So I had quite a bit of damage. Hey, so it's the next day, it's the next morning. I was out here in the afternoon yesterday filming, and it got so hot that my phone actually overheated and stopped filming. So I decided to come out in the morning when it's a lot, I mean, it's not a lot cooler, but it is, the sun's not beating down right now, so I can finish showing you guys what happened in the garden while I was gone. The last thing I filmed was the tomatoes, and I was wrong. Actually, only about a quarter of the tomatoes were severely, had some damage that had to be cut off, but the other part of the tomato was good, and I was able to put those in freezer bags. And the rest, like 3/4 of that big bucket, was actually not very damaged at all, so they are inside on the kitchen counter. So overall, the tomato situation was what I expected. A lot of damage from the caterpillars, but I planted 28 tomato plants, so I planted more than I need, really, and so even though I had a lot of damage, I still have a huge harvest, which I'm really excited about. So this morning I only have a few more quick things to show you. The most dramatic is this cucuzza arch behind me. So that whole arch is cucuzza, which is a gourd that you can use just like zucchini. And while I was gone, I had this guy growing. Look how massive this is. So big. I'm gonna try and make my way under this. All right. Wow, you can see I've got, so this plant has some disease. It's not doing great, but should still be able to harvest. This is a smaller one. And let's see, I've got these three that are very large. I'm actually gonna make a traditional cucuzza soup later this evening for dinner, and I'm gonna throw in some of those green beans and corn and tomatoes that I harvested. So yeah, I don't know how much longer these plants are gonna be hanging around because the disease has really progressed since I was gone. But yeah, I've gotten to harvest several of these cucuzza already. And this is a little patch of cucumber plants that is really surprising, because when I was on vacation they were only about this tall, or before I left for vacation they were only about this tall, and they had kind of slowed down in production, so I didn't expect to come back to several of these silver slicer cucumbers. I love these silver slicer cucumbers. They're delicious. So I'll go ahead and harvest those. The flower and herb garden is now truly wild. This lemon balm is just out of control. The rose bushes have bloomed. They've been blooming all summer. The echinacea is on its way out. And look, the coreopsis that I planted, I saved some seed from a park nearby, and I planted it, and it had not bloomed, and I was wondering, did I actually get the kind of seed that I thought that I got? But the coreopsis is all these yellow wildflowers around here, and they're so pretty. But now I know they're obviously way too big to plant around the bird bath. They need a lot more space than that. And see, this is the turmeric. It's gotten really big and luscious. All my zinnias are blooming back there. I'm gonna go harvest a bouquet in a minute. And I've got a couple of things going on over here. These are actually wild ground cherries. So I actually discovered that some of the weeds growing in the flower and herb garden are actually wild ground cherries, which is really cool to me. And I did double check, and they are edible. They're not poisonous at all. They're just completely edible. I think they're gonna be smaller than the ground cherries that I bought from Baker Creek. But let's go check them out, because I see a couple on the ground. I'm really curious. Oh my gosh. Wow, I can't even walk in here. This space. Hold on, baby. This space has completely gone wild. There used to be a path here. And oh my gosh, that's a volunteer pumpkin plant. That thing must have grown 3 feet while I was gone. And all my zinnias are looking so beautiful. Let me see if I can make my way through here. See if I can pick my way through here. Oh my gosh.
I can't do that too.
Hello, bee friend. I'm not gonna bother you, but I would like to get by.
Oh. It's so wild in here.
It's so wild. Yeah. So these are the wild ground cherries. They're loaded. Let's see if I can find one on the ground. Alright, so it turns out that the bugs really like these wild ground cherries, maybe even more than they like my intentional ground cherries over in the garden. Most of them that are on the ground have already been eaten, but I did find one on the plant that looked like it was ready, so I pulled it off, and I'm surprised because this is actually larger than most of the ground cherries in my garden. I'm gonna try it. Wild ground cherry. It's really good. It's different. The ones that I planted over in my garden have a real pineapple kind of flavor. And that one was fruity, almost a little savory too though. Not as sweet, but it was fruity. But that is so cool that I planted ground cherries for the first time this year, and that made me notice that a weed growing in the garden was wild ground cherries. So I might save some seeds from these wild ground cherries and start planting them. Of course, they're probably just going to be coming up whether I want them to or not, so that's exciting. Whoa, no, not yet, but he might sting me in a second. All right, that is everything. Now you are up to date on what happened in my garden while I was on vacation. It turns out it went wild. It bloomed like crazy and I got a huge harvest waiting on me. So thank you so much for hanging out, and I hope that you subscribe and hit the like button so that you can see a lot more videos of progress of what this crazy garden continues to transform into, and also I'll try and do some tutorials and things to help encourage your gardening journey. So thanks again, happy growing.